Hello, everyone, and welcome back to session 83 of our Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign. For some reason, I almost said 84. Not quite there yet. How's everyone doing?
Yeah,
Yeah, not
okay.
bad, not bad.
Good, thank you.
No Zach today, but hopefully we can all work out what to do with Cyan. But yeah, let's get straight into it, shall we? Right. So last we left off, we last left our heroes in the gloom. Where you had all travelled with the gnomish/orc skyship fleet. However, when you all crossed the halfway point, the armada came under attack by powerful beams of energy, radiating out across the sky from the so-called Tree of Doom, destroying a number of ships in the process. Lucky to be alive, you all regrouped along with the survivors from the crash, Captain Calgim and First Mate Gloria, and fought off a number of terrifying gloom creatures called the Macradi, three-headed centipedes, which saw in you, I guess, a tasty meal. And deciding to track the mountain around to the north on your way to regroup with the rest of the forces, you came across a solitary manor house in the distance. Its lights on and clearly hosting a party of some sort. Accidentally being invited inside, Cyan discovered that Clan Eorlix, the owners of the property, had invited a number of other clan leaders from around the gloom to talk openly about their plans to overthrow Narsamel, based on their resentment that he's not as good a leader as they first thought. And after a few of them threw opposition to this blatant treasonous talk, you all saw kind of two comet-like things impact outside the property, I guess being sent from Nivorlus. And blasting through the doors, you saw two bone golems made from stitched together bodies, controlled by some kind of necromantic magic, start to kill basically everyone in sight. So, springing to action, you all burst in and defeated the constructs. So, standing around, there's nothing but a deathly silence as bodies lie scattered around the ballroom floor. Those who hadn't escaped are hiding wherever they could, under tables, in cupboards, and they all look absolutely shaken. Including Hagen, who sprung to action, I guess still thinking Cyan was someone else during the fight. Hagen takes off his mask and he looks terrified, deathly pale. He's a tall, handsome, immortal elf with long black hair slicked back and shorter on the sides. He's got a few kind of black, almost tribal-looking tattoos all down his arms, and he's wearing a kind of dark purple and white robe of some sort, with a kind of a black sash around his waist. His hand starts shaking uncontrollably, and after he takes a couple of steps back, as if he can't believe what's happened, he drops his sword to the floor. "This was a message," he said. "Narsamel is going to kill us all." Someone in the distance, at the other side of the room, looks up from a dead body they're inspecting. "Someone must have told Narsamel. There's no way he could have seen us through our veil of shadows." Hagen points the finger at all of you who's come to their rescue. "It must have been you. Who are you? Why are you here? You're not citizens of the gloom."
Are you really trying to suggest that we, like, ratted you out, but then also killed these things that were trying to kill you, that were also trying to kill us?
No. But they wouldn't have known we were gathered here. We made sure of that.
I mean, we just happened upon you.
The person who's inspecting the body here steps forward. Cyan recognizes her from being there before. This is Fela. She says, "Do you have any anti-scrying technology with you?"
Let me check my bag.
Let me check my mage. What were you gonna say?
Nah, nothing on me. You got anything there?
I do not think I do. I still haven't. Sorry, I'm missing one level 7 spell. I I don't think I do, unless Cozy Cabin can count at a higher level. I'm not sure.
She immediately rushes over to a nearby cupboard and takes out a number of what look like amulets with like a black obsidian kind of diamond with a little diamond sort of gem in it. She says, "Here, take these. These are called Veil of Shadows. Narsimel won't be able to see you through these." She hands them out to each of you. Hagen says, "Phalar, what are you doing? They can't be trusted." And Phalar says, "They just saved our lives. They can be trusted." A few other people start to filter back into the room. People who and are shocked as to the scene that has happened here. One of them steps forward and immediately rushes over to one of the dead bodies on the floor, saying, "Chiron, no!" and sort of cradles the body. Hagen says, "Truss, this isn't the time to..." He looks down at the sort of death and destruction all around and says, "We need to bury them."
Right now?
You, all of you, stay there. I have questions to ask of you. He sort of snaps his fingers to a few of the other attendees, and they start to take the bodies out the back. As Truss seems to be a kind of a shorter immortal elf with kind of short blonde or like white hair, I guess. It's hard to tell how old he is. He looks like maybe he's in his kind of mid-30s. And he's like cradling his friend, his family, you're not quite sure, his body. As Hagen goes up to him and says, "Trust, you don't want to know what will happen if Narsimel gets his hand on him. If you want him to be at peace, we have to bury them now." And Truss sort of nods and allows the body to be taken out the back. Phalar, who is a immortal elf, it looks similar to Hagen, although she's got kind of a couple of strands of white in her long dark hair. Around her neck is a few different amulets. They all seem to be magical of some sort. And she says, and she sort of stands by you all and says, "You're from the overworld, Adana. Am I correct?"
Yeah.
Yep. Just got here today.
"You have not come at a good time."
When would have been a good time?
"Ideally, never."
Right.
Hey, we did not ask for this. Have you seen up above?
She says, until a couple of months ago, I didn't believe that Adana truly existed. And now you're in our business."
I mean, you are also in our business.
Like it
And
or
it
not.
seems
You noticed, but your buddy Narsamel has just sent a pretty large fleet to our side.
there is no love here for Narsimel, she says. "And I suppose that makes us unlikely allies."
As it does.
Yeah.
Like, do they look trustworthy? I mean, like,
Make a perception check.
they're like, I feel like they're not a homogenous group. I imagine there's a lot of competing views and personalities.
Yeah.
Where can I find my character sheet? Oh, that's why. Sorry, I was having a funny moment.
Sorry, usually you can
sorry.
double click on your token as well.
Oh, cool! I didn't actually know that. What do you want me to click? Sorry, perception check.
Yes, please. That's for sense motive, right?
Yeah. That's a 26.
It's hard to get through to. She's keeping her cards very close to the chest. She doesn't have much emotion on her face, and she seems like more curious in your arrival than necessarily worried or surprised.
Mm.
She says, and where are you traveling to? What is your plan here?
Kind of eye her up and down. You know, I think you would think us pretty stupid if we gave away that to strangers, but given you have trusted us, we are here to try and resolve what is going on our side, and if that means doing something about Narsamel, then so be it.
Then we have much to discuss. As the bodies are being taken out the back, she sort of looks around and says, I fear that Narsamal now knows of our plan, and Claniorlix is in danger. We have to leave here.
I think we have somewhere that you might want to come with us to.
She raises an eyebrow. Resistance?
Could say that.
And how do I know that you won't be leading us into a trap?
Well, I mean, if we wanted to lead you into a trap, we would have just sat back and let these things do their work, right?
Make a persuasion check. Diplomacy, sorry.
Cool. 25.
She looks around and looks at the dead bodies, and then looks back down at the constructs, the stitched together bodies that have been sent by Narsamal, and says, "Well, even though I'm not at ease to trust you, unfortunately, it seems that we have no choice. If you let us know where you're headed, we will follow you."
All right. How long do you reckon you'll be with the bodies? Do you need help?
I will have to speak to Hagen. He invited a lot of people from other clans here. I'm not sure whether Narsamal knows about the danger that they know about the danger that they're in, and whether they're likely to come with us or go back to their clans.
Right.
We will have to speak to them, but it's better if so that perhaps you are not around. As this happens, at the door, a couple of people come through the door. A number of other immortal elves who clearly were invited to the party, who just stand at the top of the doorway, just looking absolutely shocked. Phalar looks up and says, Ursidon? And a immortal elf who looks similar in build to Cyan stands there. And then Phalar kind of looks over to Cyan, who's still wearing the mask, and the mask disappears as Nyx sort of vanishes. She says, oh my god, so you... I knew our security wasn't that good. We're all stupid, not expecting this sort of thing. Please, Ursidon, she sort of walks over to the entrance of the people on the doorway and turns to the rest of you and says, please, give us some space. I'll explain this to everyone.
Okay.
Right. I think Casper and Hank will go help with the digging.
Okay.
Um,
As you go out the back, you see a number of immortal elves sort of digging shallow graves for the dead. Hagen steps forward and says, "This is our ritual, Orc. Please, let us do what we will with the bodies."
Sus.
I'm just here to help.
I know. And please, if you know what's good for you, go back inside.
All right. Well, yeah, begrudgingly go back in.
Okay.
Was it just she there?
Yeah, you were sort of stopped at the doorway to the outside, so you didn't quite get a good look at what was going on.
Maybe we should see if Nyx can have a look at what's going on.
Nick says it's actually better, I think, if we leave them to their privacy. I have things to say, and maybe we should have a talk
Right.
somewhere in private.
Sure. Let's find somewhere.
Okay, so finding let me just move back to this. So finding a private little spot just out the way, like a sort of hallway or something. Nix appears and says, these clans are the ones who sided with Narsimel to overthrow me. They will do nothing to... There's nothing they won't do to get to power. I would not trust them.
You mentioned bringing back Vesh, right?
Trust me, if Vesh is brought back, Narsimel will be the least of our issues. Null will be the least of our issues. Vesh wanted to control this place with an iron fist, and unlike the magic of Naruzatar or Narsimel, Vesh knows how to control the forces of the gloom.
They cannot all be bad, no? I mean, we have seen plenty of people in the last year or so who belong to groups that we may not like, but there are people within them who are not always bad.
I'm not saying they are bad or evil by heart. They are just selfish. And they will betray you if it means it's more likely for them to live. Remember, immortal elves do not have an expiration date. Death is one of the most feared things for them. They will do anything to survive.
Do you know who these elves are? Have you met them before?
Clan Eolix were an offshoot of some of the noble houses. Navolis used to be run by a grand council, and there were only so many seats. A lot of the houses that didn't have representation took that to heart. Clan Eolix is one of those.
These specific elves here, do you know any of them?
I do not. But I have met people from Clan Eolix before. That may be their previous leadership. This lot seem naive or young. Or idealistic, which is even worse. I would recommend that we just get out of here right now and don't interact with them. Let Narsimel have them.
I'm surprised to hear that coming from you. You still hold a grudge.
You have to understand that sometimes making decisions that are hard to fathom is part of rulership, being a good ruler. I don't hold a grudge against them. I just know what they're capable of. I guess Cyan says, on the other hand, they might know something about the area, or like where to go, or how to get into Navolis.
Yeah, I don't think we should disregard them just yet.
I'm not putting my foot down on this, and Nick says. It's your choice ultimately, but just remember that I've warned you. I know more about what these people are like than anyone here.
How much... What do these lot have behind them? Like they mentioned servants, their forces, they're getting whittled away by Narsimel. What's left? I mean, they still seem to be able to throw this shit together.
I suppose it's something that you have to ask them. I feel that in terms of military power, they're not going to be very strong. But in terms of understanding about the area or have an in with Narsimel, then they might be handy in that regard.
Hmm. Right, what do we reckon?
I say we just be polite and cordial and carry on with our day, but do not shut them off completely. I think it would be worthwhile keeping on their good side, you know? We don't have to burn any bridges through stepping back slightly.
Mention they'll do anything to survive. Frankly,
So will I.
yeah, well, concerning. But it feels like there's too many of them from disparate clans, families, whatever they call them down here. Up here, down here, over here, over here. Someone's gonna snitch, right? I reckon if we trust these lot wholesale, one of them's gonna probably go run into Narsimel in hopes of getting a better deal.
I think you're probably right, but uh, that is the first issue. The second issue is they seem fairly unanimously agreed that Vesh is the answer to their problem. So, you know, at some point, they will want to complete that part of the goal. So, you know, if
Nick
it's
says-
not, then it is Vesh.
Nick says, I'm not sure that they were unanimously agreed. There were plenty of people who are saying it was madness before this happened.
Where are they now?
Some are dead, but they were wearing masks. I can't tell who was who.
Yeah.
Maybe we should spend some time trying to figure out, if we do want to spend more time with these people, trying to figure out who is who, and then keeping
Well,
an eye with them.
I mean, if we're going back to you know, where we're going, then we need to make that decision pretty soon, right? Either we ditch this lot and try and do things on our own. Maybe hit the wardens up. Maybe someone else. Who knows? Then we need to do that soon. Or we bring these lot along and trust them, or
I think we should
bring
bring
them
them.
along and don't trust them, and figure some mitigation out along the way.
Nick
Hi.
says, whatever happens, you have to make the decision quickly. Narsimel knows that this place is full of traitors.
Yeah.
He already sent those things. He'll send more.
I want to bring them. We should bring them. I don't think we should let more elves die. It just seems wrong.
Maybe if they see the forces that we've got with the orcs, the gnomes, all the guns and stuff, then
Yeah.
that'll get them a bit more confident in our ability to succeed.
Fine, but we need to be very transparent with with our allies when we get there in private. That these elves are best to be kept at a hand's distance. They are a useful ally, but we should expect them to betray us at some point, if not all of it at some point. We should use this time, this journey to where we are going, to try to get to know them in small groups, maybe separately. Figure out what makes each one tick.
Anera, do you have sending?
Yeah. I don't have it prepared though. But I could prepare it for tomorrow.
Maybe. How long is it going to take us to get to this forward base? I think it was it 1 hour per square, roughly?
Yeah, roughly, but it's going to take you slower to get up the mountain now that you've gone down it.
I'm thinking,
and
are we
also,
going to get there today or not?
you're not gonna, yeah, but you won't, unless you really want to rush and get there. But the chances are that you probably have to spend the night on the road.
How's about we pick these lot up if they're willing to come, take them back to our forward base, and maybe in the morning you send a message ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
All right then, Nick says. So you're going to go back into the main hall?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure.
All right. So going back into the main hall where you see both Hagen and Phalar talking to a number of people. Phalar sort of turns around and welcomes you into their conversation. She says to the people she's speaking to, she says, "This group says that there is a resistance to Narsimel nearby, and that they will take us there."
I'll just nod in confirmation.
A couple of them say, "You're going to trust these outlanders?" And Phalar says, "I think we have no choice. Narsimel's are shown that he's willing to kill us all." And a few of them nod. She turns to you and says, "How long will the journey be?"
Should be able to get there in well,
By nightfall.
some point tomorrow.
That's not helpful. There's no day or night here.
Reckon bit of travel, stay the night somewhere on the road, and then we should be able to get there the next day.
She nods. Very well. I'll pack a bag. A few of them say, will there be space for my cart?"
Might want to leave
Oh.
it.
"What? Go on foot? I haven't gone on foot for 500 years."
Well, you got feet. Probably best to practice using them.
"Oh, damnation." One of them goes off and just starts glumly packing a bag.
If you get really tired, Ant can always drag you.
Phalar says, "Thank you all. We'll meet you outside in give us 10 minutes."
All right.
Mhm.
All right, so you're going to go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of keep an eye on the skies.
All right. After a few minutes have passed, the first few people start to exit. You see an old elf wearing a sort of almost like a dark green kind of outfit. It's the same type of robes with like a black sash around her waist, but she looks like maybe she's from a different clan. She approaches and says, "Greetings. My name is Stria."
Hello.
Nice to
Are
meet
you,
you.
are you okay?
"I am not so used to this kind of violence, but I have seen it before. I will be fine."
Okay.
You seem different to the others.
Yes, I have travelled quite a distance to be here. I have been exiled from my clan and thought to see if any others would take me on. Turns out there is not much luck.
What were you exiled for?
For standing against my mother.
Who's your
Oh.
mother?
Raise an eyebrow.
My mother is Caria Adaphne. She was on the High Council with Narsimel when Narsimel came to power.
Can you put that name in the chat, please?
Yeah,
And what's your name again, please?
and her name is Stria.
Ria.
She says, "My mother sent me to work at the inquest, but I escaped and have since been on the run."
What was her? Did she say a clan's name? Is it Adaf? I'm assuming Adaf.
Yeah, Daphne. Yeah.
Please can I do a sense motive, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's
Persuasion. Perception. Sorry. Persuasion.
Great.
It's hard to tell really what's up with her. She seems a bit nervous. Perhaps a bit tired. maybe from being on the road for a while.
Okay. Would you like some food?
I have already fed. It's okay.
Hmm.
Raise an eyebrow. May
Where?
Does she have fangs?
Make a perception check.
I?
If she does, they're very
24.
well hidden.
Okay. Just the phrasing is sus.
Did we see any, was there any food at all in the hall?
There was mostly alcohol. You didn't see any food.
Were they sucking out the bloods of those people who died, maybe?
I don't know. I worry.
Do immortal elves have to eat?
So, from what you've learned about Darren Kaidas, having sort of turned into an immortal elf, it did give him an insatiable bloodlust. But hex weaves have always been able to make blood.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking as well. I remember that.
So it's not necessary that they have to feed on people, especially because like they can't, like vampires can't feed on other vampires, right? So if you have a civilization that's all vampires, it's going to be hard for that to happen. But
I didn't know that.
you're mortal, so they've never been tested this way before. So just be aware of that.
Stria, you don't happen to have a hex weave on you. I am very hungry.
She raises an eyebrow. Make a deception check.
I mean, Cascus is hungry.
Okay, well, you can make a persuasion or deception check. That's your choice.
What? Well, actually, his deception is really high. 36.
I do, she says, but it's running low. I'm afraid.
Running low? Does it run out?
It can do. It has before. Hence why I'm in the service of clans who are not of my own.
I see. How do you recharge it?
With gem hearts.
Ah, yes.
A few more people string out of the room. A number of there's maybe about 20 or 30, led by Fela and Hagen. And also you recognize Truss, who is still looking a bit broken up about the death of someone. As he comes out, he says to Hagen, he says, "My brother, I can't believe it." And Hagen says, "We will get our revenge in Narsimel, I promise." Phalar comes up to you and says, "This is everyone who is willing to come. Unfortunately, some are not so sure."
Well, okay.
We will not kidnap them, but I fear that they will go straight to Narsimel and warn him.
Well, they do not know where we will be going.
This is why I didn't ask.
Right.
But our lives are in your hands now.
Well, I suppose we would better be getting going then.
Lead the
Yeah.
way. She looks to the east, and as she does, I guess you sort of follow her vision, and you see a sort of dark forest in the distance. A large number of dead trees. They seem to have like silvery treetops, but as you look closer, and maybe one of you gets out the spyglass, you recognize it's all kind of thick, matted spider webs all across all the tops of the dead trees. So it looks like a forest, but actually, as you sort of approach it and sort of look at it more, it's just the trunks and then like spiders' webs over the top.
We go another way.
You can go. Yeah, so you can either walk up the mountain, or you can go around and then follow through the woods. Phalar says the woods would make it easier to not get spotted from the air, but obviously there's dangers within the woods.
Hmm.
I think I'd
But
rather.
I will trust you to point
Do
the
we have
way.
navigation equipment?
I
I guess
assume you've got a
we could use
compass.
but we could use the spyglass. Well, not the spyglass, the mirror shard.
Yeah, you can use that.
Cool.
Sort of get a good.
No, I have a compass I
perspective of
can
where
make out of my fancy clay.
Okay, cool. How many elves have come with us then?
It's probably about 25.
Oh, okay.
A few of them are armed, but most of them sort of just have whatever they can grab on hand.
Okay,
So you're gonna head off then.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it'd be
Which
good if we
direction
could
do you
take
want to go?
time to talk to them.
Arkan Forest. If we get spotted,
Yeah,
we
there's a
get
lot of us there.
if we get spotted from above, then yeah, who knows what that means for where we're going.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's not too far until you get into the forest, so it'll be an hour or so.
Okay.
All right, just hang. Sorry, I just have to plug my laptop in. All right, so you head off. The group following you, trudging behind. It's only about you start to hear the complaining of their feet hurting after about an hour of walking. These pompous elves who've only ever known privilege. But after a couple of hours, you begin to really enter the forest itself. There's an eerie sense of atmosphere in the forest because you're used to forests on Erd or Adana that have like crickets and insects and birds tweeting and the rustling of foliage as small mammals scavenge for nuts and stuff. But here it's just almost dead silence. You do occasionally see the occasional dark shape sort of dashing off into the distance, as well as the breaking of branches and stuff. But for the most part, it is uneasy and silent. Every now and again, you do hear the trees kind of rustling above as either some wind goes through it or a lone solitary bird gets caught in the spider's webs. And you see a number of these where large birds like ravens or crows are just absolutely stuck within the webbing, unable to move. A lot of the elves do seem a bit nervous about being in here.
Which one of the elves was the one who gave us the amulets? Was it Phalar?
That was Phalar, yeah.
Okay, I can go over and noting maybe she feels a bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, you've been here before?
Not for many years. But it was different then. Things have changed recently.
Yes. I have been to a few forests in the gloom before, but none like this. This is tainted.
It's hard to believe that this place used to have a sort of beauty about it. A shimmering light all across it. That the trees could live on its nourishment and the plants would grow tall and proud. But after years of Narsamel's devastation, all the rivers turned to soul sand and the trees withered and died.
It must be hard to not wither yourself. It was brave of you to give us those amulets earlier. You could have very easily, like this land, forsaken us.
It was entirely selfish, I'm afraid. I will not lie to you. I just knew that if you were going to be here, Narsamel would be spying. He has eyes everywhere.
Speaking of the amulets, as we go in Calsford, kind of examine it and sort of just try and, like, for himself, figure out what it actually does, and basically with the intent of trying to figure out if if this is just to shield us from Narsmel, or if there is something else that this might do, like allow her to scry on us.
Sure, make a crafting check.
Cool.
Can I assist with an Arcana check?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I need to make it secret.
Yay, 39.
Blind.
Crit.
So kind of looking at it around your neck, it just sort of almost seems like a well-fashioned piece of obsidian. Right off the bat, it doesn't seem to be anything about it which looks even inherently magical. Almost an absence of magic. Perhaps that is what is helping. It almost seems to absorb magic in a sense. Perhaps you theorize if someone used a scry on someone particular, it would absorb it and then sort of trap it in there. You can't quite tell what else it would do, if anything.
Okay.
Obviously, because of that, you don't know what it's going to be like if you try and use magic whilst you've got it as well. Whether that neuters you. Or whether it can interfere with it in some way.
Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't seem to be cursed or have any other ulterior motives as far as you're aware.
Cool.
Can I just ask one more question to Phelan?
Yeah, you can ask as many as you want.
I am not one for prying. I kind of keep my voice a little bit on the low. I heard you mention the name of Vesh as a group earlier. You see, I'm interested in this creature. He is a creature of great import back in Adana. I heard rumors of a prison here. One that stored him. Have you heard of such rumors? Indeed.
You would have heard the words of Hagen then, talking about Vesh, and the book that will bring Vesh back.
Ah, yes. What do I read from that statement she made? Was it kind of like that she agreed with Hagar?
She doesn't seem to agree with him. But she doesn't seem to be wanting to talk about it. About why. You could try and press her.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Can we do a
Yeah, make a diplomacy check.
diplomacy check? I'll use my legend point on it.
Okay.
It's 40.
She says, Hagen was never well read. He didn't care much for the histories. And many of Clan Eorlix have not been around since the fall of Vesh. Since our ancestors travelled here originally. He is brash and is looking for any reason to try and get away from Narsamel, no matter how bad. Unfortunately, I, on the other hand, still am a supporter of Queen Vanya's legacy. And one of the great things she did, in my opinion, was to make sure Vesh could never escape. Even if it's possible, even if Vesh could be released, I don't see how his influence would help.
I admire your tenacity to believe in such things when it feels like the world is against you. I kind of look at her, kind of a smile in my face, like I'm almost like trying to establish a slightly deeper bond with her with it.
Yeah, she looks quite at the moment she seems to be like almost in another world, like just in her head as she's sort of walking around. She's almost like she's dissociated a bit. Maybe because of the stress of the day so far, but she kind of stops and as you speak to her, and she says, "And what do you know of Vesh?"
maybe a tale for another day, but like you, I am also cursed with knowledge in things I do not necessarily want, deals struck with outcomes I do not really want, and I do not know if I have much of a choice but to find flesh in this prison at this point. I agree with your perspective on your queen. She, from what I have read, I guess there's a bit of deception there. She seems wise and has the good of our people in her heart.
She raises an eyebrow. You know of Queen Vanya?
I have heard a few things of Queen Vanya.
Make a deception check.
I have though, haven't I? Isn't that next?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, deception doesn't mean lying.
yeah.
It's just
You're obviously
one
not
form.
telling the whole truth.
I don't mind even if she detects that, like, I'm not being fully truthful, to be honest. 29.
Yeah.
I don't mind if she thinks
No,
I'm more
yeah.
than
She raises an eyebrow. She doesn't necessarily believe what you said.
Mm.
It seems like she believes that you know far more than you're giving up.
Yeah.
And she laughs and says, "Well, you're here for a reason."
I am, and although I do not believe in such concepts, fate it might have brought us together.
She turns to Hagen and says, "Hagen, have you got anything I can drink?" And he says, "Yes, sister." And he pops open a cork and hands it to her, like a sort of skin, and hands it to her. She takes a big drink and then hands it back to him.
Does it appear to be a red drink?
Make a perception check.
Yeah.
It's just I could just imagine you just like very
I-
curiously
I was
staring.
gonna ask if I can have a drink.
You can ask.
Please, can I have a drink?
You can't tell, Calcifer. Hagen says, "Make a persuasion check." No.
What, diplomacy?
A diplomacy, sorry.
I'm an elf. I could be undead.
Yeah. Don't you have a feat that lets you make like
I do.
strange requests?
I think it's +2 to the I think what's it called? Shameless request. Make it decreases the DC of an outrageous request by
Yeah.
2.
He shrugs and hands it over to you.
Okay, I would like to drink it.
Okay.
Just drink it. Don't even look.
It's blood.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the a very thick, viscous iron taste fills your mouth, and make a Constitution. Make a Fortitude saving throw. Yeah, you manage. What you can swallow it if you want, but you don't immediately retch and throw up.
All right.
It's gross though.
I just swallow a little bit to pretend like I've swallowed it, and then I say, "Oh yeah, I'm more of a milk person myself."
Hagen laughs at that. You overworlders. So strange. You'll have to tell me stories of the land you are from.
Oh, I would love to tell you some stories of the world I'm from. What do you want to know?
Have you heard of the sun
No.
or the moon?
Is there a moon in? Is there just a moon in?
Right.
Oh, go on. There's not a moon currently.
If we can get you, if at some point you can have a visit, it's gonna blow your fucking mind.
Well, I will bear that in mind. Perhaps we should save tales for around the campfire when we finally find somewhere to rest.
Yeah, sure.
So you probably got another couple. You probably got 3 more hours of travel. Did you want to head to the base of the mountain?
Yeah,
Probably
sounds
get
good.
there before you're probably too exhausted to.
Okay.
Cool. Can everyone make me a perception check just as you're going through the forest? All right. Henning, did you make one? Can you make one, please? A perception check. Is Henning here? Alex?
He did say he would have to get dinner
Okay.
at
Don't
some
worry then.
point, so maybe he's gone.
All right. As you're sort of traveling through the woods, Calcifer, you're pretty sure after a couple of hours of walking that something's following you.
Okay.
About maybe 40 feet behind the caravan of people, there seems to be like a dark shadow kind of jumping from tree to tree, barely making any noise at all. But you just noticed it a couple of times in the corners of your vision.
I'll kind of like slowly drop back through the group, and as I get to the party, just be like, being followed, and kind of drop to the back of the group, just trying to sort of position myself and Hank like in between us and the threat.
You want me to just lay some fire out behind us?
Nick says, "Don't do that. There's spiders' webs everywhere. You'll set the whole forest on fire."
But
Not that thing.
you do you know Cascus?
You're going to say there are other solutions to problems other than setting fire on it. I know, but it is just a big thing to tell them to go away.
It really sounds like you're trying to tempt him.
I think it's better that we stay cool.
Well, I might as well just go for a nap then.
I'll kind of just quietly
Better.
say to some of the elves that we've been speaking to, group this lot up.
Hagen says, "This seems like a mighty fine area for rest, if I say so myself." And he sort of opens up into a sort of opening in the woods, some ancient kind of bare rock just to at the base of the mountain. A few boulders around, just somewhere with a bit of wind cover, just on the edge of the woodland. Calcifer, you definitely know. There's someone literally like maybe 20 feet away hiding behind a tree. Occasionally, you can tell it's some sort of humanoid peering out at you.
Can we help you?
You hear swearing. Damn it. You hear the cracking of branches. As stepping out from behind the tree is Viseri. His slick backed black hair, and wearing like dark furs, it seems. Almost like he's like a woodlander at this point. Sort of traveling up to your group and saying, "Greetings again."
You know, you could have just walked up, right?
Hey, listen, I didn't know whether you had joined their team or not. I wanted to get some information. But, alas, you are not dead, so congratulations, you made it.
You too. Yours get taken down as well.
No. No, I have too much fortune on my side. Unfortunately, it's harder to kill me than people have tried before. So,
What, you jump off the edge or something?
our ship was completely unscathed. He sort of looks at his fingers. Unfortunately, I noticed a few of them went down. I assume yours did.
Yeah. You from camp?
I have been scouting out the local area, yes. I was going to stay out for the night. I suppose I'll stay with you now.
Fair enough.
So, anything to catch us up on? He sort of looks at the group of auto elves that you've got with you.
I just look to the others, and if I don't get any disapproving looks, then I'll just...
I'll say, we saw Isolde. I trust you, Sora.
What's here?
No, back in Port Edern.
Port Edrin.
Not Port
You
Edrin,
mean
Listen,
Lenora.
yeah, listen,
Lenora, sorry.
Lenora.
No.
He says yes, and she came with me, so she's back at camp.
Ah, good. Did she mention anything to you?
About what specifically?
I spoke to her before. When I last saw her, she said she wanted to talk to you about something. I just wanted to make sure it was discussed, if at all.
I see. Well, Cascus, you don't need to worry. Our relationship is mighty fine.
Insight check.
Go on.
I mean, I know the answer, but insight check anyway. 24.
Yeah, even with a 24, you know he's obviously lying.
Yeah.
He says, and thank you for raiding my old house for me. I didn't have a chance to do that before I left.
Well, you did ask me to do it.
I didn't ask you anything, Cascus.
No, but you know what I mean, and I think I would have honored the wishes of a dead man, wouldn't you? If he was a reasonable person who was a friend to you. In fact, most of your stuff is still there. We did not take it all.
Well, luckily you didn't open the danger chest. That's something that you've got to know for the future, if you're rummaging around my things.
Danger chest.
That's one way to get our intrigue.
Yeah, big red button. I like it.
There's a big chest that you should absolutely never open under any
Yeah.
any circumstances.
Consider yourself warned, he says. He says, I am going to put some meat on the fire. And he takes out of his bag of holding a huge dead spider carcass. And he begins to crack the legs off. It's probably about the size of, it's probably about, with its legs fully expanded out, it's probably about the size of, a large squirrel. The legs having enough meat on there, like kind of crab's legs, they look like, from this, in the dark. He says, do you want any?
Yeah, sure. It's better than blood.
I did wonder if you were going to put 2 and 2 together about this lot. Yes, keep your wits about you. They've never been tested in their blood cravings before. Not on mortals, anyway. Vampires go mad about that sort of thing. Fresh from the source.
Maybe we could just, pay them with blood?
Whose blood?
Yeah, but, take it out just, a little bit at a time.
But they'll just want more, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a lot, but 20, maybe not to...
Oh, no, but,
Got to keep my strength up, you know.
I do worry
Maybe just
slightly.
think it have
Are the elves out of earshot?
Yeah.
I do worry slightly that we are leading 25 vampires into a settlement of warm-blooded creatures.
We could just make them stay outside.
Viserys says...
look, you're around people that eat meat all the time, and we're all made of meat, so what's the issue, right?
Oh, you know the difference, Calcifer.
Viserys says, well, as long as they have hex weaves that aren't running out of gem heart dust, I'm sure it'll be fine, won't it?
Well, one of them said they were running out of, they were running low.
I mean, if we get desperate, we've always, we've got a few X weaves as well, right?
I do have a hex weave, and I have made blood from it before, but I can't say it's what I'm the most talented.
Well, we've got these too, and I'll pull out some of the ones from, maybe not pull them directly out, but kind of just say, maybe I won't pull them out at all, actually. But yeah, we got the ones from the Kyduses.
Yeah, but they were empty.
I think one of them was charged.
Okay, maybe one of them was.
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
had in
sure
mind
they all got emptied out
I had in my notes that there were 4 uncharged and 1 charged.
Okay, that's fine then. If that's what you say. Yeah, for the most part they are empty though, because obviously they were being used to open the thing.
Right.
All right. Well, as far as you get settled down for the night and sort of start a small little fire, still in the shade of the woods.
Do I still have the Phoenix?
Yep. Yeah, Phoenix is just chilling in your bag at the moment.
I'll let him go and have a snack on the fire.
Okay, he sort of jumps down and just sort of warms its feathery, fiery bones on the fire. The elves around you, the immortal elves, they seem a bit nervous, but also like starting to settle down. They're starting to talk to each other and just relax a little bit. A bit of optimism, it seems, on their part, that they're actually, perhaps going somewhere where there's a bit of resistance. Especially for the most part, they were planning on dealing with Narsimel. It was going to be uncomfortable anyway. Viseri finishes roasting the spider on the fire and cracks a few legs and hands it around to you all. As he tucks in with his kukri into the main carcass of the spider body, the kind of fleshy, gooey interior sort of oozing out onto the fire and bubbling as it hits the logs below. He says, "Who knew that I'd be so excited to share a fire with all of you again, especially here."
So, have you learnt much about what the new you is like then?
I know everything I need to know. It's all my personality in the end. I don't have much choice over it. But that being said, I am interested to see how this dealing with Narsimeld goes down, and whether any of you have a plan. He's going to be difficult to deal with, let me tell you.
Okay. That's the secret. If we don't have a plan, he can't know it.
I guess, yeah, he can't guess your plan.
Well, I'd rather not talk about it when, he could scry on me.
Scry on me.
Oh, yes.
Viseri pulls out of his bag a kind of small little gem. I don't think that there's much chance of that.
In that case, I guess he kind of prods the fire with a stick, maybe. From what I understand, Fish gave his power to Narsimel.
Wrong, Viseri says. I know, I couldn't believe it either.
But when he overtook, there was a deal made, no?
Were you there?
I wasn't. But the old me heard some things.
Sorry. Was one of you there?
The figure that we thought was Vesh, that we thought was the bit behind all of this nonsense, turned out to be Kel Surprise, Neruzatar in disguise. I'm not sure whether even Narsimel knows that he is not working with Vesh. As far as I'm aware, the real Vesh still lies in his prison, untainted.
Oh, wait.
Wait, how long's Neruzatar been around?
900 years or so?
Does the timeline work?
Timeline for what?
Just my understanding is that from what you said before, Narsimel made a deal with Vesh. Vesh was one of the 4 wardens, and as a result, the other 3 wardens were kind of in prison using shards of Vesh, all this shards of Vesh.
Yeah.
And you're suggesting, therefore, that all of that wasn't Vesh, but Neruzatar.
Indeed.
To you, I say. Sorry, I meant Visceri, but yeah.
So, he says, so how about this for a timeline? About 30 years ago, Naruzatar gains control of the Divine Gates. He then controls all of the powers that are invested within the Gatekeepers, the Trespasser being one of them, and is able to bring beings back alive who had been dead, potentially for centuries. Narsimel, who was killed a few hundred years back, ended up being revived by Naruzatar, who put him in the gloom, claiming he was Vesh, and gave him some orders to do in exchange for his rebirth. Nyx appears and says, that would have been maybe 20 years ago or so. That fits.
Sorry, just say that again. I'm just moving a bit slow. Naruzdar gave the reincarnated Narsimel some orders in exchange for his life, basically.
Yeah. One of those orders would have been to create an army capable of invading Orthaid. Capable of invading Erd, sorry. As well as control of the Divine Gate. So, with the worlds now connected, Naruzatar has everything in plan to truly unify the Divine Gate.
But what of the holes under Adana? I remember when it feels like a very long time ago when I was in Port Edzerin after Ugo passed away. I was taken by this Gam Lucian down to this pit. And from the pit, it sounded, it was like Vesh and Narsimel. That was the names that I was told at that point. What about those holes? How does that fit into all of this?
It was simply a symptom of the gloom cracking and the barrier between worlds failing.
So those holes now are gone? Anchors? What are they?
I don't know, but if I was to put my finger on it, now that both the worlds have collapsed into a single state realm that we find ourselves in, those rifts will have been whittled away and things will be back to normal. Normal, I say, as if it's not absolutely bizarre.
But I have too many questions, I am sorry, but one more. I'd been under a... Before the world turned upside down, and after I first saw it, and the hole had gone.
Yes, rifts are unstable. They create cracks, and then the cracks simultaneously patch themselves back over again. They are, if anything, a symptom. The world healed itself of that particular rift, but was unable to defeat the cancer of the whole synopsis as such.
I see.
And with Narsimel, I do not know whether his desire for power was tapped into by Naruzatar as the perfect soul to do the job that he wanted him to do, or whether it was just pure luck. Either which way, Narsimel knows nothing of Vesh, just as many of us do. I would be surprised if he had even gone to Vesh's prison.
What are the shards? I recall in the shards of Vesh that we saw in the Warden Maylina, was it? What was that then? I mean, on reflection, does it feel like the power of Vesh or Naruzatar? I mean, we've seen Naruzatar's magic since.
Yeah. So, from what you can, I guess, glean from that is that it was something that Naruzatar made to deliberately look like something that Vesh had used in the past. So it was like, because it was Nyx, I think. Oh, it was what? Yeah, it was one of the wardens who told you what it was, but you know they're not omnipotent. They probably just assumed.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Oh, sorry, omniscient.
Yeah, no, I get what you meant.
He says, "How about we talk about something else, huh? I'm getting tired of all the gloom talk, and we've only been here for a few hours."
Yeah, I can sing a song. Recite you some of my poetry if you like.
I don't know about that. Sorry.
Oh.
He goes back to silently eating a spider.
Casca stands up and goes, "No, you know we have had a number of drab evenings.
Oh
Here,
my
if
god.
you feel like you can lighten the mood at all, I would not be opposed."
I would love to do that.
All right. Well, do you want to make a performance check? That's the right thing, isn't it?
I think so.
What song are you singing? What's it about?
I'm doing an Iliad, reciting some epic poetry because
Okay.
it's not as much as singer, but the the epic poem is to do with a phoenix and the Rodrons, and it's sort of an old folk story about phoenixes. I thought,
Oh, cool. Well, the phoenix, as you start reciting it, your little phoenix is sort of sways to the rhythm and the meter of the rhyme. You notice a few of the immortal elves nearby sort of stand over and kind of half listen. And once you finish and wrap up, you notice that actually a lot of the camp has been listening. Viserys says, "Very engaging. Congratulations, Hanira."
thank you. I've been practicing.
Well, I might turn in unless there's anything else any of you need.
I'm
Not
going
that I can
to
think
have
of.
a wander around the perimeter. Casca goes and kind of just does some walking around the edge, even though like he can't see far. Maybe he's just like reflecting on Inira's poetry, the situation he's in.
Mhm.
Also
Yeah,
trying to
it
listen
was
to the
very
elves.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Also trying to listen on the elves' conversation as well.
Very
Cass will sort of do the same, but just kind of walking in the opposite. Like if Cascas goes going clockwise, he'll go counterclockwise.
Cool. As you sort of leave, Nyx appears and speaks, I guess, to whoever's left around the campfire and says, "Has anyone ever asked Viseri what the hell is up with his backstory? Like, he knows so many people and he's been involved in so much crap, but do any of you actually know who he is or what he's actually done?"
Isn't he a tiger person?
Rakshasa.
Yeah.
Sure, but think of the things he's been part of and is for centuries or millennia, and he never talks about any of it.
No, I actually don't really want to know. And I I'm sort of interested, and maybe after all of this I might talk to him about it, but I think for now I just don't think he's always been a good person. I don't know why I get that vibe, but it makes me think that I don't really want to know, what happens if he tried to like massacre my family 1,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago or something. I just don't want to know because I need his help right now, and I don't want that to get in the way of the mission. But maybe I'll ask him afterwards.
Nyx says. She says, I don't like him. And whoever this Viseri is, I don't know why everyone is so quick to trust him, but he seems completely different to Cadell.
I don't think I am quick to trust him.
I'm not speaking about you specifically. I'm just
Right.
saying that people should separate what you thought of Cadell from him. He's look at him as if you've never met him before. Don't be quick to trust. Just think about it.
Okay.
All right. So was it Calcifer and Cascus you were going to have a look around? Can you make perception checks for me, please?
Sure.
But I can actually give myself disadvantage on this. It was more to like listening at elves and things. But...
So just kind of just having a precursory look around the camp and just where you're staying. There doesn't seem to be that much to see. Obviously the woods goes off quite a distance, and you don't hear anything. You don't notice anything that near. Maybe the occasional howl in the distance, maybe from some sort of gloom wolf or something, but nothing too far. Nothing too close. Sorry. Did you want to take watches for the night?
Yeah. I would like to talk to Hagen before the night as well.
Sure. Yeah, he's just chilling at the camp, just talking to a few people.
Mm.
You gonna go up to him?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, he's sort of filling in a couple of people about his plan with the book, and he says, "I heard from this person that if you read the ritual on the back in Vesh's prison, he will return and destroy Narsamel. He will free the gloom, and we'll go back to how things were." A few of them say, "Well, is it possible that we can find out where his prison is?" And Hagen says, "If anyone, Narsamel will know where that is. It will be in his records. It will be in the council chambers, I'm sure." And he sort of sees you approach, Cascus, and says, "Oh, Cascus."
Well, no, stop on my account. We are allies now, are we not?
Indeed.
I
I've said what
too.
I need to say anyway.
Well, I too am very intrigued about Vesh. He is a known quantity on Adana. And like you, I have seen his influence born in different ways.
He furrows his brow and says, How so?"
Well, we were dealing in Adana, and part of the reason I am here is we noticed these great holes in our world. These holes where the gloom itself was seemingly coming through. It was Vesh's name that was on the lips of those around it, and claiming to be the ones who were responsible for his presence. Vesh clearly is powerful. I'm not saying the full truth there because
Yeah.
obviously...
Indeed, he says, but you have to understand why Vesh is capable. And it is because he has been here in the gloom longer than any of the other wardens. He's been here longer than even before Fandaren. Vesh is the true god of the gloom. And he was banished away, and now everything is collapsing because of that. It has been told, and I trust the person who told this to me.
Ah, well, I would like to meet this person at some point.
I don't think that's very likely, unfortunately.
Ah, how so?
He sort of looks a bit sheepish around his friends and says, "I'm not sure when I will see him again."
It's my interpretation that there was like a partner or a relation, like somebody he was it his brother or something, or
No, it seems to be. He seems to be hinting at something a little less close, almost like someone that he's befriended, maybe.
okay. And sorry, just to clarify, he was saying sorry. He the point he was making was that this person. Sorry, I'm being a bit thick.
That this person told him that stuff.
Okay. The stuff about Vesh being whatever he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was a. It was. I met this person out in the fields one day, whilst I was checking on the servants, and they approached me, wearing a dark black robe. I did not know who it was. I thought it was uh, Phalar in disguise, trying to mess with me. But when he pulled down his hood, and I saw the scarring on his face, I saw the. He had no eyes. They were just nails pushed through his head. Just figure, he told me things about myself and about the gloom that I had never heard before, and told me that truly the only way to fix this. I thought he was a messenger of Vesh. He must have been. He was unlike anything I'd ever seen. He had magical abilities and had a sort of atmosphere around him which was powerful.
Gaskis sits down and joins them, and he kind of looks him in the eye and looks at his friends and goes, I do not think it was a child of a servant or somebody in favor of Vesh that you saw. You see, I have come across figures with nails in their eyes before. They are dangerous and not what you think. And I kind of do some thermaturgy in front of me, using small flames that kind of lit from his hands a little bit.
Okay.
Using kind of the tiefling magic that I have.
Yeah.
And just to show creatures scions.
Yeah.
And what they look like. And
so
then
you've seen them too.
I have, as you can see, they look a little like this.
Indeed, but you may have your beliefs about them, but I trusted this one completely. I'm not sure why, but I just did.
Do you know who they work for? Because I do.
I assumed he worked for Vesh. That's what he claimed.
Unfortunately, Hagen, and I do not mean this in any way to diminish your intelligence. You are clearly a strong leader among your peers. He serves Noruzatar.
I don't know who that is.
Noruzatar is not Vesh. Noruzatar is... He is a known figure in my lands. He is a man playing God. He has done unspeakable destruction to my world, and has tried to ascend to godhood, to be the god of death. These creatures with nails in their faces, they are his disciples, his scions. I have met a few in my time. They are never good news. I do not think it was Vesh that was talking to you. Noruzatar is no friend of Vesh. Noruzatar's ambition is for himself and him alone. I fear you may have been tricked, and I do not mean this with any disrespect. We are friends here, and this world is a confusing place to me as well.
He kind of slams the book shut and puts it back in his bag and says, well, you can have your opinion. I'll have mine.
I look to the others that are sat around. I presume these are kind of loyalists to Hagen.
Mm-hmm.
I look at, do they feel like, are they buying this?
A few of them don't. A few of them clearly think of Hagen as a bit crazy, as it he's just saying if we do this ritual, everything will be good.
Right.
And a few of them seem a bit curious about it. I don't think he's really convinced anyone, but he seems convinced himself. It's going to be very hard to convince him otherwise, but not without proof.
That's fine. I say, if anybody would like further proof of this, when we reach the humans and the others, come find me. I will bring you to people who can tell you much more about this than I can, and can hopefully prove it, because I do not want your people to suffer. They have suffered enough. I do not know what I want. but I do not want to see you fall into madness.
A few of them nod and sort of let you go on your way. And as you sort of walk away, Phalar sort of like calls out and says, "Cascus," as you're just sort of walking towards the rest of the camp.
Ah, he heads over.
Is this true what you said about Nirazutta?
I look her in the eyes, kind of dead in the eyes, and I say, "It is. I hope, pray you can see it to my eyes. To my people, it is a way to see truth or lie."
I believe you, actually. And I will speak to my brother. I will try and get him to drop this nonsense.
Please speak to all your people. Humans and the people we are taking you to, they will not take kindly to people for whose blood it is seen as unholy and will likely cause fear. If Hagen attempts anything against them or tries to betray, it will end really badly. I'm saying this to try and help your people. You should trust us. We are not here to send you down the wrong path.
Very well. Let's take a break here. Yeah, and
Sure.
then we'll come back in 15 minutes. Yeah?
Alright.
Pretty
See
good
you in a
to-
bit. Russian upside down gloom spam peeps.
Hello, and welcome back. So just before the break, the party teamed up with a whole bunch of immortal elves that they've rescued from Master Mel, and walked them through the sort of entrance to this dark woods. On their way back to the forward base to regroup with everyone. You also regrouped up with Vasiri, who was kind of following you and scouting out what the hell you were doing. Who introduced himself to you and then ate a spider in front of all of you. So that was fun. So you've done your perception checks. Let's just go to the next day, shall we? There's nothing happens during the night, but if you want to have any chats or anything, feel free. For the last bit of the night, but otherwise we can skip on.
At some point, I'll explain to them what the sun is.
Go on, Calcifer. Tell us about the sun, then.
Right, so it's like this. So you have fire here, yeah. It's like that, but way bigger, but way further away.
No, that's not right.
What? What are you on about?
Well, it is sort of right. Okay, so the sun is actually a god, or was at some point, in the olden times, before times began. Well, no, just as times began, and then they were like, then they divided all the fire up between people, which is why we, the people, so the elves and the humans, we have fire and we can make fire, and then we have dragons and they can make fire, and the phoenix can make fire as well. So they made sure that every type of animal would have some fire. The ones that are worthy. And that's what the sun is.
But most of it's in the sun, right?
Well, no, you wouldn't know, would you? Because you weren't around to see it before they gave some of its power away.
But
one of the immortal elves says, "And what happened? So, well, how come you just don't burn whenever the sun's out?"
Well, I mean, you do a bit if you stay out too long.
I don't.
Well, what?
Well, elves don't burn in the sun.
What?
What? Have you ever seen a sunburnt elf?
You're fucking ginger.
Yeah, I know. And have you ever seen me burn in the sun?
You know, I haven't been looking out for it. But I guess it must not be very sunny on Adana or something.
Well,
so it's
I
always
just lived in
cloudy.
the north my entire life.
Yeah, but yeah, massive ball of fire, like thousands of times bigger than the actual planet itself, but it's just really far away.
I have a question. Someone at the back says, "How do you know how big it is?"
Well, I mean,
how do you know it's not just kind of a little bit big, but closer?
Because then you'd burn.
Well, you can sort of measure it, and you can like look at other celestial beings and stuff, and then either side of the year you can measure their distance. There's a thing called parsecs, and there's a whole field around it.
Yeah, and also if you use a bit of fire on land, then it takes some of the fire away from the sun, which means that you and if it was really small but close, then you would see it get smaller. Because it's massive and far away, that you don't see that because it's only a tiny bit of fire that you're using.
Ooh.
You know, we've had some interesting conversations in the past. This is not one of them. I just want to point out.
Alright. What's the sun then, Henry?
It's what Calcifer said it was. It's just a big ball of burning stuff, very far away.
Well, have you ever seen it?
Yes.
When? Like up close?
And I looked up in the sky and saw the big burning thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. If you do come to our side of the rift or whatever, don't stare at it. You might go blind.
Noted. One of them says. Vasiri gets up and says, "Right, we should get going then, should we?"
Yeah, right. You got any of that? Got any of that insect left over from last night?
All right. He just opens his bag and throws you another leg.
Nice. It's like
I'll
prawns.
be asking for payment next time. Well, let's. It shouldn't be too long until we get there now. It's how many miles is it? 10.5, apparently.
Yeah,
About a third of our day will have passed.
So do they have a moon here?
Make a
anything.
perception check to recall what it was like when you visited.
Their day and night is very similar, right?
They don't have a day as such. It's like it gets a bit brighter, but because it's so foggy and misty, it was hard to tell really what was up in the sky. So as far as you're aware, there might have been a moon, and like their quote day was just when when they would get a bit of moonlight.
Well, we've been
Uh,
to the gloom when it hasn't had thingy.
Yeah, yeah. So you could see into the sky, but it was very hard to keep track of what was day and what was night when you visited those times before.
yeah.
But I'm pretty sure on the first time you visited, it was a bit brighter than it is now, and I'm pretty sure you did see a moon in the sky. It was like very blurry and behind like a lot of cloud and fog and stuff.
Mm.
Okay.
It's like hard to tell exactly what it was, but
Hmm.
all right. So Vasiri gets up and starts packing his things. The rest of the camp follows as you get ready to move, and snuffing out the last of the fire, just making sure not to leave much of a trace. You look behind as you look back into the forest as you start stepping away from it, and realize that thank God you didn't have to go deeper into the forest. You just sort of hugged the exterior of it. But beginning the trek up the mountain, it's quite difficult to find your footing at first because it's mostly rolling hills leading up to kind of like cliffs and ravines and valleys. But eventually you find an old sort of trampled, almost kind of gravelish kind of road, which seems to lead this way. So after a few hours of traveling, can everyone make me a survival check, please? Ooh, that's something that we don't do very often.
Rifle.
I would like to use my focus point to be trained in it. Oh, I'm still trained in stealth. Oh, get rid of that. Okay.
I'm going to use. Where is it? Untrained improvisation. Equal to half your level. So I get to add half of 13, so I guess 6. This.
Yeah.
Oh, it did it anyway.
Did
I
it.
have untrained improvisation. Does it?
Cool. All right. So you begin to make your way up the mountain, and as you do so, you begin to notice clear evidence, signs all around you that people have travelled through here before. Going both ways, there's sort of like the occasional scrap of cloth on the side of the road. There are like trampled dead shrubs, people have trampled over them.
How big
and
how big are the footsteps?
You can't quite necessarily. Well, I guess you could find you could go off the road a bit to find a bit of to track the footprints and stuff, but they seem to be normal human-sized feet, or orcs, or
Do you think if they're like appreciably bigger than elves, or like two kinds of sets where some are significantly smaller and some are a bit bigger,
yeah,
but not much
yeah,
in between?
it's within the normal range of what you expect.
Okay.
And so, as you make your way kind of around the mountain and up into a ravine that's nearby, Gloria, who has been quite quiet recently, says, looks at the map and says, "We should be arriving anywhere now. So keep your eyes out, everyone. Keep your eyes out, peeled. So can everyone make a perception check for me, please, as well? Hank gets distracted and finds a bone. It seems to be
Silly Hank.
it seems to be a skeleton of some sort that's just decomposing on the side of the road. It seems to be an elf. You can't quite tell how long they've been there for. It's probably in the orders of months rather than days. But after, I guess, a bit of nudging, Hank sort of gets off the body and continues on with you. Eventually, the ravine sort of you go up to the sort of top part of a kind of cliff shelf, where the ravine kind of breaks into the mountainside proper, and you start to feel the cold, biting air of the altitude that you're arriving at. Eventually, you discover just in a sort of little outcropping behind a couple of the mountain peaks, a number of sky ships just hovering there in the sky, with the signs of a camp being under construction below. There seems to be, let's see how many there are. There seems to be 5 sky ships.
How many did we start off with?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
So, yeah, doing the maths in your head, that's about 50%.
Yeah.
Well, that is exactly 50% attrition. And you see a lot of the orcs that are starting to set up kind of wooden palisade wall, sort of lugging chop down dead trees from nearby, to set up a like a trench and just a wall for some defenses, just in this part of the ravine where it's just one entrance in. You also know behind the camp there seems to be a where are we? There seems to be a gate built into the rock behind the camp, leading further down the ravine. It seems to be about maybe 50 foot high and covers the entrance to the ravine. Although you could probably get over it, like if you wanted to scale it, or you could go around, up the mountainside itself to go over it. But otherwise, it's like a blocking of the entire ravine. And it seems to have kind of patterns all across it, with faded gold writing. As you approach the camp proper, you see Morna delegating and just getting a couple of orcs to do things as she sees you all approach, and a few orcs, kind of guards on duty, approach and start to sort of like aim muskets at the immortal elves who are nearby, following you, saying, "Who are you? What are you here for?" And Morna says, "Hold on, let me speak. It's them, all right? Let's just speak to them and see what's happened." She approaches and says, "So you're alive?"
Yeah.
Yep. These lot are with us.
Thank goodness. I thought you were being followed by an incredibly slow band of elves. It's good to see you. I thought there was no chance. I saw your ship go down.
Well, we're very resilient. What can I say?
Yeah.
Well, that makes things easier.
What does that mean?
Well, it would have been a lot harder to get certain things done if you weren't here. You're strong, right? So.
Yeah, thanks. Hey,
Go on.
what do you know about the sun?
Well, we're not.
No.
Until we get all this stuff sorted, we're not going to see it ever again. So it's probably better we get onto things.
Yeah, all right. It's just been on my mind.
She nods at Vasiri, who kind of walks past her into the camp, and she just says, "Right, No hello from him either. So, I guess I should fill you in on what the plan is. At least for now.
Yeah. What's been going on?
So, our first step is to build this camp. There's we did have a plan in the running, but it involved a lot more people than we have. So we're a bit behind on that front. If you want to help out, feel free. We need all hands on deck for the time being. Second priority is working out what the hell that thing is, and she points to the gate behind the camp. Can any of you read the writing on that? I can't.
Let me try. What language is it?
It seems to be some sort of ancient gloom speak language. Nyx will almost certainly be able to read it.
All right, go on then. Go on, Nyx. Could it be in Celestial?
It's not in Celestial.
Aw.
Nyx appears and says, "From here, all I can see is that it's a forge. That's what it says. But it also says stay out. I have no idea what this is. I've never seen it before."
A forge, you say?
Mona says, "If it is a forge, that could be handy. We are going to need weapons, and if we can make weapons here, that's going to make it handy. I'm sure Sax will need a forge as well for repairing the ships that we did manage to save. Unfortunately, all the cloaking devices on all the ships have been damaged by whatever that interference in the sky was that took all these ships down. So we're not able to really use these ships out of here because they'll just get spotted. So we need to just be aware of that."
I don't know how much of those blasts you saw, but do you reckon that was targeted or just blind bad luck?
Viserys swears when I asked him about it, he said that it was just bad luck. But I don't know what he knows, if there's anything. He didn't really expand on that.
Is Zax here?
Sax, yes, he's just trying to fix up the ships that he can do. The cloaking devices are going to be something else entirely. It's going to take us a while, so he's on Blackjack if you need him. But do you have any questions?
Perhaps to introduce you to our companions.
Oh, right, yes, of course. And she sort of nods over to the Immortal Elves. I guess you wave a couple of them over?
Yeah.
Are you going to wave over Phalar and Hagen?
Yeah, sure.
They kind of sheepishly walk over and look a bit nervous as Morna kind of crosses her arms as they approach. "Greetings," Phalar says, and Hagen nods. "Greetings."
These are elves we met earlier today. This is Phalar and this is Hagen. They, I think, are able to speak on behalf of this group. And they seek Narsamel's demise.
Do you trust them? Morna just asked that openly, right in front of them.
I look at Hagen and I look at Phalar. What do they give you when they look? What do they give us when we look at them?
Make a perception check.
35.
Phalar looks confident. Hagen looks a bit nervous.
I trust that they seek Narsamel's demise. And I look at Hagen as I say that bit.
Morna shrugs and says, "Well, we're going to need all the hands we can, so get to work, all of you. If you don't mind a bit of elbow grease, go on." And a couple of them in the back go, "They're going to make us work now?" Goodness. And they sort of shuffle over to just try and see what they can do.
Can I just grab Hagen by the arm, maybe, just before he moves away, and I say, if I hear that any of your people are feeding on these people, then You will not be here for much longer, and blood in your veins will be the least of your worries.
What are we, barbarians? Hagen says.
Well, you better make sure that Hexweave doesn't get too low, hmm?
He sort of nervously eyes his one and looks back at you and goes, okay. And then walks off.
I just nod at Fela, who I assumed heard it.
Yeah, she smiles. Morna says, so where did you grab this lot at? They're a right bunch of... I mean, look at that one. He doesn't even know how to use a hammer. Just like points over to one of the immortal elves, just like bashing a piece of wood against a hammer on a nail to try and like get it in.
Like the like the video of the orangutan. Just...
Yeah.
They're trying. They're trying.
These are the natives then, I guess. Morna says.
Yeah, these are some nobles. Seem to be having a little get together. Seems they're not too happy with how Narsmel's running things. And
Yes.
yeah, so a couple of these got a bit interrupted first. Well, got a bit interrupted when some like fleshy golem things came flying through the sky. Killed quite a few of them. So
Fleshy golem things. Was it
Yeah.
necromancy?
yeah, it seemed like it.
That would be Neruzatar's work then.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's it then? You just invited them over?
A word privately, if that is okay.
Hey, listen, none of us are ruling here. There's no one in charge, but just as long as you're aware that anything could go wrong here, right?
Do we need someone in charge?
No, well,
Okay.
I don't think so. But
All right.
there's a lot of vested interests working to make this actually happen. So we've got to be aware that we're doing this for the whole of Erd here, yeah?
Okay. Because I'll be in charge, you know, if you need someone.
Yeah.
I'll
That's.
Bear
I don't
that in
think that's-
mind, Mona says. She says, what did you fancy doing? Did you fancy helping out with the camp, or did you want to go have a look at this this thing? I'm swamped here, so until everything gets sorted, I'm going to be busy.
I think checking this forge out seems right up my alley.
Well, have at it. If there's anyone going to, I trust, to investigate these sort of things, I've heard of your antics. I'd like to join you personally, but it's probably better if I hang back for a bit. There'll be plenty of adventuring to go around soon.
Yeah. Well, if you need us, you're smart. You'll figure it out.
All right. And she goes over and starts berating some orcs who are putting the palisade up wrong. All right. So Nyx appears. There's more. I just didn't want to say in front of Morna. The forge, it seems to be named after someone. I don't know who this name is. It's not anything that I know about.
No
What's the
problem.
name?
Hand over.
Kazenci. Or Kazenki?
Kazenci.
It says it's the Forge of Kazenki. Get out. Or do not enter. Something along those lines.
It could
nobody's
be.
heard of Kazenci before.
Is it a person
could
or
be-
a place?
It could be Kazan 101.
Yes, maybe. Makes sense.
What?
Roman numerals.
How is that? What?
Never mind.
Oh, anyway.
Oh, I did not spell that the same way that you spelt it, cousin. Key. Okay. Please can I do a Sidenara law check?
Sure, it's not in the Sidenara.
Oh. Can I roll it anyway?
You can roll it.
I'm just rolling for how
Like-
sure you are.
Yeah.
Okay, you spend an hour flicking through the side of an hour, and unfortunately, it's not in there.
Right. Can I do any other kind of check? I don't think we've heard of them.
No, and Nix hasn't heard of it either, and chances are, if she hasn't heard of it, you probably haven't either.
Maybe ask the immortal elves.
You can ask one of them. Who do you want to ask?
Just a random one.
Maybe.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
just...
Oh, I guess as you're sort of talking by the gate, you see Stria, a Daphne, walking by, and you sort of flag her down. She comes over and says, "You okay?"
Yeah. Have you heard of anyone called either Kazenci, Kazenki, or Kazan 101?
The second you say that name, she begins to shiver a little bit, and then says, "No," and then she just like makes her excuses and immediately tries to leave.
It's like wait, and like try and kind of just not
Okay, you
not
stop her.
violently, but like
Am I there as well?
She says, I really can't help you at all."
Hey,
Look.
hey.
if there's sorry if there's something about this that we need to know about, then might be prudent to give us that info, you know.
"Oh, that's fine, but you've seen the sign, right? It says don't go in, so you're not going to go in, so it's fine. You don't have to think about it."
Oh, you don't know us very well yet, do you?
We'll definitely go.
Are you really thinking about going in there?
You know some reason we shouldn't?
Make she's not she like sort of doesn't say anything for a while, and then just sort of closes her mouth, almost like she wants to say something, but she just kind of can't. Make a persuasion check, a diplomacy check. Sorry, one of you can.
I would
So-
like to, please.
Okay. So can I aid Morna?
Go on.
Ah, an error.
Sorry.
You can aid Morna as well, but it'll be something.
Okay,
Oh, nice.
+1.
31.
Um,
Oh, and also, if it's an unreasonable request, is the DC is lowered by 2.
okay. What'd you say to her?
I say, hey now, you know, it would be really great if you could tell us for the greater good and the survival of the elf race. My sister, she's got a little baby back home, and if you don't tell us, you know, he might die. And
He's just gonna guilt
I'll
trip
never
her.
get to meet him.
Fair enough. Okay, so um, she looks a bit shocked, and then sort of looks a bit sad and says, "Kazenki, he used to be a forge, a smith for Clan Eolix, if I remember correctly. A long time back, maybe a century, no, maybe about a millennia or so. This is entirely within their purview to talk about, but I'm not from around these parts. I've only heard little bits. But he was sent to from the previous owner of Clan, the previous leader of Clan Orlix, sent to serve the rest of his immortal life within the forge. It just said he is building something or maintaining something that can never be allowed to be released, and his life is on the line for that. It is better to stay away. That's all I will tell you."
Okay, thanks. So I've got hiccups again. Okay, well, you're very brave. Thank you for speaking.
Just by going in there, you could undo everything that they worked towards. So,
What did they work towards again? Sorry, I've forgotten.
well, I'm not really sure. You'll have to ask someone from Clan Eolix for the specifics. But there is said to be something within that could get out if Kazenki is stopped or distracted for even a moment. It is his eternal duty to keep the forge under guard, and he will not take kindly to someone entering. Be aware.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, can we speak to someone from Clan Eolix?
Yeah, you know of Phalar and Hagen.
Yeah.
They're both from Clan Olex, but there's other ones who are like either lesser in the hierarchy or like sort of like cousins or but you don't know them as well, so it's down to you who you want to talk to.
Yeah, I think probably talk to the main two. Sorry. The hiccups are bad, okay? Because
It's all right.
somebody else
think maybe
speak. I was
Phalar.
gonna mute myself.
Yeah,
Maybe
what does everyone else think? Henning, what do you think? Is Henning here? Is he
Alex?
muted? Is he muted or not?
Alex.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you think, Cascus?
I do not. I mean, if we feel like there could be a benefit in doing it, I do not see why not. I doubt whatever is in there could, in any way, shape, or form, challenge us.
Nick says, there is. I mean, think about this. If he's been locked in there without access to anywhere else, he probably doesn't even know of Narsamal. He just probably thinks what the world is going on as normal. If he could be an ally to us, he's clearly powerful.
I agree with Nix. I think we are in a land where we know little and allies are few and far between. I do not trust all of the immortal elves we have with us, but perhaps this figure could help jog their allegiance a bit more in our line as well, if he is a figure of legend for them. I do not. I am not sure about the craft leader, though. If he proves charismatic, it could be a problem for us.
Who? Nick says.
Well, the member of Clan Olex, who was trapped there with the demon.
Oh, I see. I hadn't even considered the fact it could be a punishment.
Well, I do not mean the name. What's that? I don't know the exact name. The exact name for Kazenci makes me think of a devil of some description. It is a devilish name, maybe. Sounds a bit like it. So I expect there could be some punishment afoot.
It's certainly not a name I've ever heard, Nick says.
Does Kazenci sound a bit like a devil? Like, I don't know, if, like through like modern parlance of books and readings, like devil names, it sounds a bit like one.
Hang on, just a sec. Make an occultism check. Or religion, it's your choice.
Let's do this. The 36.
You've never heard of a devil called Kazinki?
Oh, it's Kazenci.
Yeah, that's how they were saying it.
Kazenci. That was not an S in it. Kazenci.
I mean, it could be. Devils seem to have kind of names from all over the place, to be fair.
Alright.
Yeah, but you never heard of a specific devil called that.
Okay.
That being said, yeah, from what Stria said, it sounds like it's probably an immortal elf that's living their immortal life in there.
Okay. Interesting.
As to what they're guarding or whatever they're doing in there, you have no idea. Nick says, So how are we going to get through this gate? I mean, we can go over it. It's just blocking off the ravine. I guess this is just to stop people wandering in, but
Seems easy enough.
Flying or all sorts. I assume it's a deep ravine, right?
yeah. So it goes. I can't remember how much. Did I say like 40 feet or so before? I think it's about that high. So it's high up. It's not unscalable though.
Yeah.
And there's a rocky kind of outcropping that is sort of is built into on the edges of the ravine, so you could also climb up that. The top of it seems to be just kind of polished, smooth, almost like the entire gate is made of like a singular thin block of granite that's kind of very wide, and then carved into with this warning. As to what is on the other side, whether the ravine kind of goes into a cave, which is maybe what's the most likely, you can't see from here. But you can always, you can check it out. I mean, Nix can go have a look. It's or or you can scale over and just have a look for yourself.
I have a grappling hook.
Oh yeah, I mean you could throw a grappling hook over it. That'll make it really easy to go over.
We could always. Maybe we should take one of the elves with us if we're going to do this.
Who are you thinking, Nixus?
Maybe Phalar?
I do not want to risk her life. She seems like she can be won over a lot more easily than some of the others. Hagen, I would not be totally upset if he was to die. I mean that in the most blunt way possible.
I was just thinking she might be a bit more predictable. Less of a loose cannon. Which, if there is something down there that we don't want to, disturb too violently, potentially, might be a better bet.
I just do not want to risk Phalar's life. I think we could perhaps, Truss is just not a brother. I do not think he would be a good place. What of the other elf who we have spoke?
Aegon?
No, not Aegon.
There was Truss.
Not Truss. Truss was the guy who lost his brother.
Yeah.
Then there was Hagen, who we already met,
and then there was Ursidon, who Cyan was kind of pretending to be. And I think that's it for the named ones so far.
That's but there was the one from the other house that.
That was Stria.
Yeah, perhaps.
I was just thinking in terms of the Eorlix ones.
Yeah, so Truss isn't from House Eorlix.
It was just
Hagen and Phalar are. Yeah, and then there are a number of others who you haven't introduced yourself to yet. There's maybe 6 from Clan Eorlix here, and then the rest is like a sort of spattering of other houses.
Okay. Should really speak to Phalar, get some see what she knows, and go from there.
Do you understand why I don't think she should come, no?
I mean, we don't have to bring her. I'm just thinking if she knows anything about this this 101 fella.
You're gonna go find Phalar. So kind of just down to work with a number of the gnomes and the orcs who are around, just helping out put up barricades and set up tents. You find her kind of halfway through stitching together a few like bits of cloth just to make as a sort of ground mat for a tent. As she sort of looks over and sees you approach. Hi there.
Hey, you all right?
Keeping myself busy.
I'll just be blunt. Do you know anything about a Kazenci guy?
Yes, I wondered when you would ask me that. What do you want to know?
Just what we might expect about him, to be honest. I take it by your answer that you noticed the writing.
Well, this is Clan Eorlix land. I'll be clear. I would rather you didn't go in. There are dangers in there that could cause us more issues, especially with this camp. Unless you're prepared to deal with those issues as well. As for Kazenci, I knew him. He's always been mad. I'm sure a millennia in there will have made him worse.
Do you think he'd be an ally? When he went in, Nasmel weren't king of the hill, right?
Sure, but he took his duty extremely seriously when he was asked. And he did not complain once about it. He immediately reported and locked himself in there.
Who heads up Clan Orlix these days?
We've had a bit of a rift. Hagen's mother, Volred, she rules from Luhorn, our capital. And she had a sort of messy breakup, I guess, with Aeson.
Right. I'm just.
He runs from somewhere else. They both take ownership. They both report to Narsamel as if they're both in charge. It's a thing. Anyway, I wouldn't worry. I digress.
I'm just thinking, if we have someone with status within Orlix, they might have a bit more sway with him to, maybe convince him to work in our favour, depending on what's going on in there. Orlix, they sent him down there. If he's working on their orders, presumably he'll follow a secondin.
He will be repairing the eternal chain. He will not want to leave, she says.
The eternal chain.
The eternal chain is it's a shade steel chain that can only be repaired in this forge. Something about the lava that is there is able to craft shade steel. The eternal chain is a chain that is eternally breaking and being reforged. The creature that lives under this mountain is constantly trying to escape, and you need someone on hand all the time to make sure that it's never broken. It was going to be a huge project. Clan Orlix had budgeted long into the future for it, but Kazenci said that he could do it himself, and it would save us a lot of resources. We'd have to have a whole city here dealing with it otherwise.
And what before him?
The monster hadn't been discovered before him. We hadn't dug it. This was originally just a mine. We were looking for rare metals. We stumbled across the forge, and we unfortunately let loose something we shouldn't have.
What was the creature you let loose?
I don't know. I wasn't allowed to venture forth, but it was not good. The entire mining town that was here before was completely destroyed.
Just in terms of where we are on the world map, does anyone remember where we were? What is where we are in the upper world, if that makes sense?
Yeah, you're near Barandon, I think.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if there's anything below that we've seen that might be like, because I'm thinking also about when we were at the volcano island and the Vesh's like prison bit. Was it Vesh's prison?
Yeah.
The chains.
No, not Vicious, but there was Malathar's prison.
Malathar's prison and the big chains there. I don't know if they were shade steel though. Like the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, Henning, Henning hears in his voice Vance saying, "It could easily be one of Ashad's minions."
Why would the Shad's minions be here? Are they not all in Adonaf?
It is not unlike Fandarin to banish a few of his enemies.
I'm afraid I'm not much use against a minion of a shadow.
The only upside, Phalar says, is that that forge can make shade steel. That's the only upside I can see. But you'd have to completely get rid of this creature that's been there all this time. I mean, unless I'm not capable of that, and none of my people were.
Do we have anyone here who can use shade steel? I mean, to make anything from that forge.
Well, we could arm a whole army with something like that. Phalar says.
Well, do you know how to forge it?
Kazenci will.
Can we trust Kazenci?
Like I said, he's mad. I don't know. He's most likely much madder now.
I turn to Kausafa, particularly, and what do you think?
Well,
shade steel, armor and weapons.
Seems like a pretty big boon if we can lay our hands on it. And this thing, sounds like a threat, but they were able to capture it before. So, clearly it's not beyond the realms of people being able to deal with it.
Nick says, yeah, Fandaren caught it before.
Oh, we left that part out.
Well, I assume. I mean, that's what I'm gleaning from the situation.
Right. Okay, that is different.
But you dealt with Malathar.
True.
And the shadow.
You're much more powerful now. I mean,
who knows? Maybe it is super powerful, and we can just point it at Narsimel somehow. We won't know unless we go down there.
Phalar says, so you're going down there then?
Yeah, I think we always were going to, weren't we?
I think so.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
She says.
Can't look if you're gonna I don't mean to criticize, but in future, if you're gonna make some big door to try and stop people from going somewhere, just hide it. Don't don't put a big thing saying do not enter, really cool shit behind this door, but don't come in.
She says, no, the reason I was saying shit is because I'm gonna have to come with you now.
Who said that? Sorry, Phalar.
Yeah.
I'd rather you did not.
This is my family's land, alright? I'm not gonna have you messing with it without me being there at least.
Respectfully, if you die,
I've said what I need to say. I'm going.
Was Phalar part of the fight earlier?
She had not been, no.
Okay.
She was. You couldn't. She had actually. So before the fight broke out, she had left the room. She spoke to Cyan for a bit, and then she left the room for a bit, and then that happened, and then she sort of came back after the fight was over.
Phalar, if you die, I do worry that Hagon is going to use this as an excuse to make things a lot harder for us.
I think I'll be all right. Anyway,
Can
I've got all of you to protect me, and she sort of nudges you with her arm.
Can I
Can you protect yourself?
Our history of protecting.
Hagen hears you speaking and comes over and says, "I'd be worried about Phalar. She's more powerful than she gives off."
Well, that's good because you're going to come too.
Wait, what? Me?
That's
I
correct.
mean, oh, damn it! he sort of says, "Let me get my sword."
If you want to bring anyone else to help you and be my guest.
Maybe not anyone that might just be fodder.
Yeah, let's keep it with us then.
Yeah, some people might be more valuable as doing some grunt work.
Phalar says, Hagen does bring up a point. I am considered among my people a seer.
Who Phalar said that?
Yeah.
What does that
I get divinations about the future. Usually a little bit before they happen. I can tell when something's bad is about to happen, and I can make myself scarce.
Okay, is something bad about to happen?
Not that I can tell right now. I'll let you know if I do pick up
Great.
anything.
I sock her in the face. No.
Right. Well, so okay, if you can get yourself to safety, great. If you can't, stick near me.
Noted. All right. She sort of looks in the bag that she's got with her, and as Hagen comes back and says, "All right, got my sword," and she says, "I've got everything I need. I should try and go in then."
All right. No time like the present. And I'll get the grappling hook out. How's you
Okay,
climbing?
so-
And
She
just
says-
let's start swinging it in a like a.
I didn't bring my climbing shoes with me, unfortunately, but I'll make do.
That's okay. Shit, I can. I actually thought maybe we could have a sleep before we did this. I know that we've already sort of just about hyped ourselves off to start.
You just had a long rest
What?
before you got to the base.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I completely. I don't know how I missed that. Okay, great. That must have been when I was getting some water
That's
or
all right.
something. Sick. Well, okay, ignore that. Ah, yeah, I'm just.
You're like, God, have you only been up?
suddenly-
You've only been up
wake
3
up,
hours.
You just been sleepwalking.
It's like, oh, I think it's time for my
Hello.
afternoon, my 11 a.m. nap.
All right, so throwing the grappling hook, you don't even need to roll for it. You effortlessly hook it on there, and you start to climb up one by one. Hagen says as he climbs up, his feet kind of slip a little bit as he tries to get over the top, and says, "How did we even get a huge block of granite up here anyway?" And Phalar says, "It was Mother. She made it work. I wouldn't ask." Phalar climbs over. You see that the shoes she's wearing are sort of more like kind of those ribbon kind of shoes, almost like ballet dancers wear. They just completely trod up with mud and just a bit messy, but she makes it over. And one by one, you all go over. And as you look down the ravine from the other side, it almost like if somewhere could be more grey than where you just were, this seems to be it. Like there is no life anywhere. There's just loose stones going down a ravine, which then sort of opens up into like a cliff, where the ravine sort of shoots down into the earth a little bit. But there's like a sort of stone passageway that you can walk down. And Phalar sort of brushes herself down and says, "Oh, all right, onwards." You all gonna go? Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, passing down the ravine, it immediately starts to get a bit darker as the whatever lingering reminiscent light from the gloom there was is lost within the cavern walls. Stepping maybe 100 meters or so, or 100 feet or so down this ravine passage, eventually it opens up to another block of granite. This time with a door kind of adorned within it. Doesn't seem to have a handle, but it's got the same sort of writing. And Nyx, and as well as Phalar and Hagen, both say it's just telling us just to definitely, for sure, leave.
Well, we've never been very good at saying no to signs.
Yeah, that sign won't stop me because I can't read.
Yeah.
Hagen says, as he's looking at it, he says, "Phalar, do you remember what Mother's decision was on closing this place up? Do you remember what she told us? She said that there was no way for him to get out. And that means that maybe it's locked on this side as well." And Phalar says, she probably put some something on there. Do any of you want to have a look? See what you can glean from this. The door itself, just having a look, FYI. It seemed so. It cut into the granite is definitely like a doorway, but it's kind of flush, like almost as if the blocks of granite which would make the door either have to slide inwards or outwards or within the granite block itself. And you're not quite sure how it's going to do that, because as you sort of run your finger across it, it looks almost like there's just an indentation that has just been kind of half chiseled into it rather than fully cut out. Phalar says, what was I thinking about? What did... Oh, she said no immortal elf would be able to get in, but I'm not sure how that stops. If we can't get in, how anyone else could.
Can I just give it a push?
Make an athletics check.
Maybe knock first.
They could be changed.
Don't just go in.
28.
Yeah, shoving it just does not budge a millimeter. Nothing moves. It's almost as if you're just pushing against a wall.
Cyan, maybe try the knocker.
Cyan, goes out and sort of gets the insistent door knocker. He places it against the doorway and tries to do it. And as he does, all the indentations on the walls, including the writing that's carved in there in this sort of gold kind of font, suddenly flashes red, and you're all pushed back. Not with like a force that's going to damage you, but it just pushes you back slightly, almost like there's like an explosion down the ravine. And then it just fades away and goes back to how it was. It doesn't seem to have worked.
There's no cracks in the door at all, right?
Do you all want to make a perception check for me?
Sure.
Ooh, natural 1.
Those are not good.
They're not, are they?
Okay. So, interestingly, Henning, as you're looking around, you are sort of just like tracing the indentations on the wall, and your finger just catches something sharp on the end and just starts bleeding a few drops of blood onto the wall itself. It's like you pull your finger back and you're like, ow, that hurt. And you see one as the drops of blood sort of run down the stone. Hagen immediately turns to you and says, "Are you okay?" And Phalar sort of like gives him a look and sort of it almost steps in between both of you and says, "Hagen, look over here." Sort of leads them off.
Sus.
And she sort of leads them away as Hagen sort of is kind of dragged away from Henning.
We should leave. We should leave right now.
Is he dragging us away from all of us or from just Henning?
Just from Henning.
Maybe.
She said they're just having a conversation at the other corner of the cabin at the moment.
I think you might like to
Can I see their
partake.
lip?
You can make a perception check. Yeah, go on, Cascus.
It might be. Is it this character or is that Gideon? I've had a complete head breakdown, but one of them can read people lip reading.
Probably Gideon, but I can't
That sounded
remember.
like a Gideon
I think that's a background trait that you get from being from like the homeless person background. I can't remember what it's called.
That was what
Urchin.
Urchin, yeah.
I think that was Gideon's one.
There's a
The
general
homeless
feat for read
person
lips.
background.
Homeless person, but make it fantasy.
You can't read their lips, but you can hear them whispering. And Phalar says, "Hagen, they are here to help us. I saw what you just almost did there." And he says, "I'm running low. I'm not going to be able to last much longer." She says, "Here, take some of mine." And she hands him something to drink.
Can I make some blood out of my hex weave? Do they know that I have a hex weave? Because I don't want to.
No, you usually hide it,
Yeah,
if I remember.
and I don't want them to know it's special.
You could just give them a cup and
We-
say, "Here's one I had earlier." Sometimes us aristocrats on the other side like to drink blood.
Yeah, I think I will probably do something like that if it gets dire.
But Hagen starts to drink the blood, and begins to become a bit less agitated. And I think you're probably starting to notice that like his agitation is mostly because he was hungry, probably, rather than because he was necessarily like nervous.
I get that.
But okay, so as the blood continues to trickle down the wall of the granite, eventually goes into one of the cracks in the doorway, and then the entire doorway begins to like sort of glow a light green. As both of Phalar and Hagen sort of turn around, and the rest of you all sort of look as you hear a sort of a sliding sound as the stone opens.
Hey, look, I did it.
Huh, Phalar says, stepping forward. I guess that's what that's to do with. No immortal elf can get in because we don't bleed. Well, door's open. Looking down the cavern, it just sort of goes down a long corridor, and there's like a you see kind of almost like a mirage in the air of heat, and you feel the heat from within begin to hit you. It feels very hot, uncomfortably hot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
I mean, maybe not for you. As much.
Yeah. Most people. Yeah.
You're like, oh, it feels actually kind of warm. Nice.
I do have some resistance to fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
feeling good
Well,
about that now.
Well, yeah, you still can tell it's hot.
Yeah.
It's not like it's gonna kill you. But you smell the familiar volcanic smell of sulfur, kind of almost like rotten eggs, mixed with a bit of soot. As Phalar and Hagen shrug and just go, okay, I guess we're gonna go in. The door's open now for sure. So.
Yeah, yes I did.
All right, so you begin to go down the corridor, and as you travel through, you hear the occasional clang, clang, sort of almost like a rhythmic pattern of someone hitting against an anvil. Kind of muffled, almost as if it's like either very loud and behind a few walls, or a bit louder and behind one or two walls, I guess. But either way, it is somewhat muffled, and it's sort of almost like a boom at first. And eventually, as you get to the end of the corridor, there is a door made of what seems to be like a sort of a wood, of some sort of dark wood, nicely varnished, almost looking like a door to someone's house. And it testing the doorknob, you sort of open it up, and it opens up into what seems to be a kind of cloakroom / study / piles and piles of just crap that has just been collected over the years. Gemstones, gold, bits of metal, old huge chain links that have just been discarded. Perhaps they're not strong enough.
What is the gem dust that's needed for hexweaves?
That comes from gully beasts. So it's not necessarily gems. They're not really gems. It's the hearts of gully beasts kind of represent. They look like gems, and they can be crushed into a powder, and that's what you use.
And just a reminder, sorry, go on.
I was going to say we found some gem hearts before.
Yeah, that was from those merchants. What they called?
Near Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I sort of want to keep them though, in case mine runs out.
Oh, you know what? You might be right. Actually,
Yeah.
I think you did find them.
We have 3 that are worth 500 gold each.
Yeah. Okay, so each gem heart basically will be able to fully replenish a hexweave.
Yeah, but I would like to keep them for my hexweave.
The hexweave is infinite.
Yeah, but I don't know that for sure, right?
Okay.
I think we should consider using them.
Okay, but I want to keep
Okay.
one just in case. All right.
We can give them 2.
And also,
This
I don't want them to know that mine is infinite, so I don't want to give all of our gem hearts away.
Well, they do not know you have one at this point, no?
Well, yeah, but they might. Look, please, I just want to keep
I
one.
I think we can probably spare one.
I agree.
Thank you. So
I
kind.
agree.
So this study, there is a door on the other side, which is currently closed. It's like a large double door, and then there's a number of doors kind of to the north and to the south. But this seems to be someone's house or someone's home at least. And you hear the clanging going on and on.
Shall I just call and see if anyone answers?
The clanging seems to be coming from the double doors in front of you.
Before we go in, just to get things a bit less tense, I'll just kind of say over to Phalar and Hagen. Phalar, what's your favourite colour? But green, yellow, or red?
Out of those,
Yeah.
red.
Okay, I will reach into the bag and pull out the red gem heart, and chuck it to her.
She grabs it and looks at it for a second, and before she realizes what it is, oh my goodness! This is the biggest gem heart I've ever seen in my life. Look at this, Hagen. And she sort of like puts it over, and Hagen looks at it and looks back up to you and says, "The gully beast that must have had that would have been huge."
Yeah, I think we were in it. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, that should keep you lot sorted for a while, right?
And Hagen, if you are a very nice person and you do not try to backstab us at any point, there may be more where that came from.
He laughs. So you have more on you. Noted. He takes out his hex weave and a small little knife and starts to cut into the gem heart and sort of just puts the hex weave next to it and just absorbs its energy. The gem heart stops glowing a bright red and just becomes a kind of dull brown once it's done. Well, that's that done. Phalar sort of puts that in her pocket.
How long do they last?
You can get a lot of food out of a gem heart, out of one gem heart. You could probably feed Lenora for about a week.
Oh wow!
On just one, so
with
Yeah,
25
that many.
people, that's not getting used up in the campaign,
no.
unless this goes for thousands of years.
From what you can tell, because you've experienced, just to go on a bit of a digression here, you've met gem heart traders, and you know generally about like gem hearts and how they're traded. And this is like a fairly small one for Adana. So the fact that they think that's one of the biggest they've ever seen, or is the biggest they've ever seen by quite a distance, means that probably either that there's not that many gully beasts around here, or that their source of gem hearts is somehow, a lot less. Although they're nobles, like they don't have nearly as much access.
Okay.
That being said, Phalar thanks you and says, that will last us for sure. Thank you so much. We're indebted to you.
Anyways, you're helping us out with this, putting your lives on the line.
Well, it sounds like Kazenci is out there through those doors.
All right, let's go say hello.
All right, so you open up the double doors, and we'll get there next week.
All right.
All right. So we'll see how that all goes next time. Thanks for playing, everyone.
Thanks for running.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's coming up to 10 anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll just finish there.
Wait, what about my extra 2 minutes?
What a scam.
No.
All right.
Like
Thank. Yeah. Is it all done now? Is the stream all set?
I'll do it now. Okay. See you next week, Russian
next
spammers.
Goodbye.